Bronny James just played in what might be the most highly anticipated game ever for a 55th overall pick. All eyes were set on the son of LeBron James, who made his debut with the Los Angeles Lakers Summer League team. This kind of pressure and attention for a late second-round pick Summer League is definitely a first, and it was maybe a bit too much for Bronny, shooting 2 for 9 from the field. He struggled at times, especially offensively, but it wasn't all bad. Let's dive into his first game and look at what happened. In the first quarter, on the first possession of his NBA career, Bronny is immediately welcomed by a hard screen. Ends up on the floor, but quickly recovers to not give any space to the Kings player and helps Lakers defense force a turnover, showing that the defensive side with the ball is going to be his strength to begin with. Bronny grabs a board and gets his first real offensive possession with the ball in his hands. He uses the Castleton screen nicely and is left wide open for a long 2 which rims out. No basket, but a decent look with an unfortunate result. Bronny fights through his screens and manages to recover nicely. Despite Ford creating some space, he manages to contest it pretty well, but the Kings guard makes a tough bucket. Here, Maxwell Lewis, the sophomore of the Lakers, who was also a second-round pick back in 2023, runs a DHO with Castleton, fakes the 3, and then drives the basket aggressively and uses his frame very well to protect the ball and then banks it in off the glass. Now, this is exactly the kind of play that Bronny should be studying. Despite not being as tall, Bronny can take advantage of his athleticism and his frame to attack the rim like that. It's time for some catch and shoot now, which will probably be Bronny's game offensively in the NBA, but this time he hesitates a bit too much and doesn't have much space. His shot is too strong. Shooting probably wasn't the best option on that play. Some decent looks for Bronny in the first quarter, but shots aren't falling yet. Once again here, Lewis gets the ball at the top of the key. The Kings defense is confused and he goes for a nice Euro step and then earns 2 free throws. This is great stuff from Lewis, attacking the basket, and he has a stellar first quarter, stealing the show from Bronny. In the second quarter, however, Bronny has been showing his positive things on the defensive end, and it's not stopping anytime soon. Here, he reads the passing lanes perfectly and steals the ball and gives it up to Henson for an easy transition bucket for the Lakers. Defense leads to offense. A few seconds later, Bronny gets the first basket of his NBA career off a DHO with Castleton.
Come on, man, that's tough. That's tough. Get loose.
The Kings center plays drop and leaves some space to Bronny, who attacks the rim, showing his athleticism, and gets an easy layup. Definitely more what we want to see from Bronny. Going downhill and using his strength. Exactly what worked out for Maxwell Lewis earlier in the game. Bronny's feeling confident from that first basket, and he brings the ball up the court on the very next offensive possession, uses another nice Castleton screen, and has got room to operate with the Kings still playing drop coverage. But he misses another mid-range when he could have just attacked the rim once again for a better result. At least we could say that Bronny is not being passive in his first half. Here, he receives the ball for a catch and shoot in the corner but decides to drive to the basket, then stops for a pull-up midi. And once again, a bit too short. The mid-range has not been falling so far from Bronny, and it's been clear that it's not his shot yet, and the defense has been willing to give it to him. Back on the defensive end, Bronny reads the passing lanes very well once again, but this time he barely misses on the steal, recovers well and contests the shot, but it's another tough bucket scored on Bronny. Not the biggest play of the game, but Bronny receives the ball in the corner once again, but instead of shooting it or driving it once again, he makes the extra pass for his teammate who's wide open, leading to the 2 points for LA. Small stuff, but some players would have tunneled vision in that scenario or take too long to pass it. 6 shot attempts for Bronny in the first half. Some were good looks, some were tougher shots, but that's the whole point of the Summer League. He won't have the opportunity to do this much in the NBA. He's completely right to be doing it now. However, he's going to be more discreet in the second half. Now in the third quarter. Back in the second half, Bronny does not settle for a mid-range this time and drives to the basket, finds a teammate, but the ball eventually ends up back in his hands in a tough situation, and he takes a wild shot, out of control. You'd like to see Bronny drive through, and this kind of play would most likely result in something better with the NBA players around him. But he's been chasing that mid-range all afternoon, and he finally gets it to drop. After attacking the closeout, he creates some decent separation and goes for a pull-up mid-range on the left elbow. The first one to go in for him today. But you can tell he's been working on that shot. It's not his strength for now, but if he ever becomes a real threat from mid-range, it could definitely elevate his offensive game to another level. The Lakers are playing 5-on-4 on the break here after a Kings player stays on the ground, and Bronny is the one to take advantage of it. He goes for what looked like a great dunk but gets fouled. Unfortunately, he misses both free throws. Like father, like son. Now in the fourth quarter. On the defensive end, I felt like Bronny spent the entire game contesting every shot and yet got scored on every time. Well, it's true again this time. Bronny moves his feet very well. He doesn't give any space to Davis, doesn't foul him, but he still scores the tough mid-range. Great defense, better offense. If Bronny can defend this well against NBA players, he'll definitely earn some real playing time soon enough. His last play of the game might be what sums it up the most. A good catch and shoot look for 3 on the wing, but it goes in and out. The good thing here, he has shown a variety of plays after receiving the ball in the wing or in the corner. Catch and shoot 3, attack the closeout and drive to the basket, or stop for a midi. Overall, not the best debut you could have hoped for Bronny James obviously, but it's important to remember that Summer League is a very different environment from the NBA. There is no team chemistry more often than not, and everyone's trying to earn a roster spot on the team. You can't really judge people solely off Summer League games. Some Hall of Fame players were awful in the Summer League. Some guys who never made it to the NBA look like future Hall of Famers. It's also important to have reasonable expectations for Bronny and to remember that the role he will have in the NBA will most likely be very different from what he's doing in the Summer League. He tried to do a lot offensively, more than what he will be asked to do in the NBA most likely. But it's a good thing to try stuff out now while he can. 2 for 9 is definitely not great, but the quality of his looks is what matters. And not all of his looks were terrible. The truth is, if his 2 in and out shots go in, he's shooting 4 for 9. All of a sudden, no one's talking about a terrible performance. The mid-range is definitely an interesting part of his game because he's used it a lot in this game, but one can wonder if he will really have a lot of opportunities to take them in the NBA, where this shot is almost exclusive to superstars these days. Have to say, he was better on the defensive end though. He was unlucky to have so many tough baskets scored on him, but he showed some interesting potential as a POA defender, being able to stick to his man quite well. So, what did you think of Bronny's first game as a Laker?